The human intelligences. Since we are children, in the schools, our parents or other ways, we have been taught that we must be a very smart person, so we could succeed in life. According by being like that, we would be able to do things in a more efficient way, waste less energy, manage money in a better way, etc. In my opinion, this is true, but only in part. Do the humanoids make with more intelligence, like the emotions, the instincts, and the locomotor system? Why do I comment this? Because the necessity for breaking up that concept we've been taught since we were kids. Things like, that guy has more IQ, so this guy must be so smart because he does all the homework as well, understands all the topics. But in my opinion, I would like that in all the schools and everybody could think in a more deeper way. I mean that doing all the homework doesn't mean that the mentioned person must have a super gifted brain. Instead, it could mean that the mentioned person has a big capacity to last many hours doing such homework. The mind. The most well-known by most of us is the logical mind intelligence. This is the intelligence we appreciate more in the colleges, like the memory, the mathematical and logical thinking, the studying capacity, the analyzing capacity, etc. Along with the other hemisphere, which is the imaginative power. That gives the inspiration for writing, for drawing, for creating songs, poems, and so on. These hemispheres relate to a corresponding side of the brain. Right side of the brain is for the imaginative tasks and the left one is for the logical things. We could compare the mind with a periscope lens that feeds our emotions, our instincts, and our locomotive system. The mind, it's a tool that helps for drawing ideas and concepts that can become an emotion, an instinctive reaction, or physical action. For instance, by the mind way we can read a drama or watch it on TV, then our understandings transform the drama into an emotion. So I feel involved in the plot and we may become interested on it. The mind also can command reflexes previously developed, like when we are in a soccer play, and then for a very fast instant we think how we should move. The mind also helps for meditation and developing the instincts. And learning what are those instincts for. Like learning the instinctive reaction of the fear. Or the instinctive reaction, like eyelids closing when we hear a loud noise. The locomotive system. There are people that have very high locomotive intelligence. Do you know what locomotive intelligence is? People with good locomotive intelligence have an excellent coordination to dance, also very good reflexes. Most of them succeed at sports such as football, basketball, martial arts, and etc. Regardless that there are people born with a very good dotation or natural talent for all the mentioned locomotive activities, it's always possible to develop coordination for dancing, agile feet movement for a football match, martial art reflexes, and even efficiency for doing dangerous tasks with speed. Like baking up tortillas, driving a bike with a basket overhead, handwriting, piano playing, or drumming. All the mentioned could be obvious and boring, but the interesting of this intelligence is that it can go further than the human mind. For example, a martial artist can block attacks from the opponent. As we can notice, the martial artist never thinks deeply if should block or attack. The martial artist simply reacts as the locomotive memory was previously developed, in this case reflexes. Another example is that you never go in deep though when you're about to be crashed by a car. Simply you get out of the way, or in the worst cases you just close your eyes. Why is this useful? Because as long as we are aware that we can modify our reflexes, such as a martial artist or a football player, when we practice thousands of times a movement or a combination of movements, the results for those will be better match skills in case of football or better combos in case of martial arts. In case of drum player, obviously everything will sound better after a long practice. That's why people say that practice gives the mastery. So if you want to have a reflex to be used for whatever you want, always must be practiced, but very slowly at first and gradually increasing the speed of it for the movement, which could be a dance move or a football trick, and more. The instinct. What thing comes in mind when mentioning the word instinct? Animals, of course, that is the point. Let's pretend that this intelligence belongs to the way that we naturally behave towards the world. It's the language that tells us the behavior and even the intention of a person at. Is this really an instinct? Yes, because the human, same as the dog or other mammals, express certain patterns of behavior or body poses when they feel embarrassed. For example, a dog when it's scared, it tends to hide the tail between the rear paws and lowering the head. We humans tend to lower the head unconsciously when we are shy or scared. With these, we can even know if the opposite sex is interested according to the glancing or walking, even without eye contact. There are people that are born with a high instinctive degree, or we could say common sense, for everything referring to the nature. These people are genius of the survival and they could be very good as leaders. The emotions. What is the emotional intelligence? Obviously it's the capacity for sensing the emotions. This could seem obvious, but be aware that the emotions could be faster than the thoughts, and if we don't control those emotions, we could have a bad time. such emotions like sadness, greed, or anger. Those are destructive for ourselves and for others, because those emotions waste many energy and we do harm sometimes even without desiring it. In the worst cases we don't notice that we spread negative vibras to people around us. This is like magic. So, many of our loved ones or pets can feel our emotions and know when we had a bad day. The emotions can be absorbed and spread. Could be from an animal, a person, a plant, and those emotions could be reprojected to other beings as well. There are people that have those emotions very developed in their lives. They have a big capacity for writing dramatic novels, for acting, for music creation very easily, and those tend to be excellent psychologists and counselors. Many times these emotions can sweep our mind in our peacefulness, such as when someone falls in love. As much as they want to concentrate on something, it will be difficult, because the emotions are tranquil, and those are rendering an anxiety. Many of us think that the love person it's in our mind, but actually it's in our emotional desires. Another example is if we have a familiar problem before going to work or to school. This problem could ruin us the day, and so, the emotions can destroy a day. Emotions can repair it as well. Why is this useful? Because if we know this, we can use the emotions in our behalf. Like counteracting a bad day, searching for salutary distractions. Like listening to your favorite music, or simply visiting your loved one. Let's notice details such as the way that a building is painted, or the shape within the distributions of furnitures. There are people very resistant to appearances, good emotions or bad emotions. However, if you are receptive to this will affect emotionally and unconsciously in your encouragement. Ask yourself what would you like if your school looked like a prison? Here is a hint. Have you ever had a hard time trying to focus for reading or study a boring topic? This is because one of our energies are imbalanced. This is compared to not taking your dog to a walk and wanting it to be quiet. It's cruel to study for your exam when you want to explode all the energy that your body has accumulated. For solving this, there's not better recipe, like doing exercise. However you like, you can join a yoga club, a dancing club, or a karate club. If we act this in our daily routine, we could lose that intolerance feeling or despair. Plus our body will grow in health. Because when we do exercise, our body burns the toxins towards the sweat and it gives capacity to the blood to gather more oxygen. As well, the organs will have better oxygenation, as well the brain will have better performance. The brain feeds with oxygen, the heart, the liver, etc. Of course, everything with moderation. Conclusion. All of these intelligences can be developed as long as we understand them. Some people can be born with more degree and some intelligence than others. It exists many kind of combinations in those intelligences. That's what makes us specialized for certain jobs, such as psychologists that have many emotional comprehension. People that have good locomotive capacity overcome in dancing or martial arts. People with a good sense over the instinct are very adapted for the charge of a leader. And people with a good mind dotation tend to be good analytics and administrators. That's why, I hope that this theme helps, and I hope you understand that it's not the same thing, being intellectual, than being intelligent. I hope you understand that in life, that we may not only use the mind, or the brain, as the science says, but we may need our other intelligences to overcome in desperate situations in life. We need to know our emotions so those emotions won't sweep our concentration, and even so for the wise enjoyment of angerousness. For having coordination and notion in space-time, to achieve many goals, in case of football, with our previously developed locomotive memory. To remind that our body came from the nature and the body also needs to balance, so people won't lose survival capacity. We must not forget that we always need vacations, not matter how we may look like robots.